So today we're working in Claude Cowork, and they recently just came in with some new features that I'm very excited to share with you because it has absolutely changed the way I do work. So whether you're a beginner or a pro, this video is for you. And today I'm going to be breaking down really how to optimize for skills, connectors, and plugins so that one, you can save money, and ultimately two, you can save time for whatever you are trying to do. And some pro tips that I don't hear too many people speaking about. So as we can see here, this is Cowork. Now, just so you are aware, this is via the desktop app. The desktop app provides a ton of more functionality than just using this if you were on the internet. So get the desktop app. I believe it is now out with Windows. Cowork is now your assistant, but on steroids. So if you have an assistant right now, just imagine everything they do. That's basically what Cowork is trying to replicate. Now, just some things to mention very quickly. A lot of this will change, but the frameworks pretty much stay the same. So if I just come into this panel over here, I'm going to open up the sidebar. Prior to this, actually, if you went into settings, you can actually visit your skills under capabilities. Now, they recently moved skills. So if you're trying to find skills in your capability section, it will not be there. As you can see here, skills have moved to customize. Head to the new customize page to manage your skills and connectors. So instead of coming here now, what you're going to do is you're going to then come to this customize section over here. This is where you have skills and where you have connectors. Now, if you're not familiar with skills, skills are a complete game changer. It's essentially just taking an SOP of all the knowledge you've learned over time and handing them off essentially to an employee. It's just a set of frameworks, it's a set of instructions that basically just map out how to do a specific task. So as you can see here, I have a YouTube hook engine. So anytime I'm doing YouTube, I'll run this skill and it's going to create me a very high quality skill. Or a hook rather. I have a meta ads mastery because I create ads for my clients. I have a YouTube thumbnail design because obviously that's super important. I have an X article, meta ads marketing skill. So shout out to Corey Haynes because the meta ads mastery and meta ads marketing are his skills. Now I've implemented some of my own into it. You can customize these skills however you'd like, just like you can with the plugins I'm about to show you. But skills are super important. I highly suggest you start building them away. If you're wondering, just quickly here, if you're wondering how to actually build a skill, they have a native skill creator already embedded within Anthropic. So creating a skill is quite easy. All you tell it, you go to the chat function, and all you say is just create me this skill with all this bunch of information. So for instance, if you have an amazing chat going already, and you're like, hey, how do I bundle this into a skill? All you have to do is just ask Claude, and Claude will go about it because they already have the skill builder natively within Anthropic. So it's very, very helpful and super easy. Now that's one step, but however, the skills were a big breakthrough. I loved using skills. I still use skills to this day, but then they brought in plugins. I'm going to talk about plugins here because plugins are quite cool as well. Before that, let's talk about connectors are your gateway to other apps that you potentially use. And the way I want you to think about this is imagine you hired an employee. Well, the employee essentially are your skills, right? They're individual tasks. Okay, so again, if I hired like a strategist, they would need to create ads for me, and they would probably already have the meta ads mastery after learning a bunch of these skills, right, over the years of actually putting in the time to learn them. So those are employees, but then your employees would still need connectors, which are just apps. So again, if I hire a creative strategist, she's going to need essentially access to meta ads, maybe Canva, maybe that is Atria, whatever those apps are that you're using to provide support for your employees are essentially what connectors are. So just think of it like if you have any task or you're hiring an employee, what apps do they need access to help them do the job most efficiently? So those are connectors, and beautiful part is I can create these connectors on my own. As you can see, I have a few connected already here, or better yet, I can browse them. Now, when it comes to connectors, you have access to, my goodness, a ton of connectors. So really any app you currently use, as you can see, Anthropic's trying to just streamline that and make it super easy for you to connect to it so you can reference it, you can use it, just to provide you with more context around the task you're currently doing. We can also categorize things through this section here. So instead of really just looking all down here and getting lost, I can come in here and look for, code connectors. I can come in here and look for financial service connectors, right? Anything that I potentially use within whatever I'm looking to do. I can come in type, desktop, or web. So it's really, really helpful, and I'll show you all this in a second here. So those are connectors. So we have skills, which essentially just the tasks you do on a day-to-day basis that you want to package together and give to an employee so they can complete the task effectively. Connectors are just outside apps so that the skills and the plugins can give you the most context and do the best work possible for you. Now, when it comes to plugins, again, Anthropic makes this super easy because they're going to do most of the legwork here, and they're going to give you their own plugin. So if we just browse plugin, yes, of course we can upload a plugin or just create our own plugin, but we can browse plugins and they have already given you plugins. As you can see here, we have enterprise search plugin, we have a sales plugin, finance plugin, a data plugin, and so on and so forth. And the best way to think about plugins, if skills are kind of the tasks and connectors are kind of the apps to the outside world, plugins are essentially the department. So when it comes to productivity, if you had a productivity department within your company, all you would do is you click on this and it already show what they're trying to do. If I just go manage just quickly here, I can try asking stuff as set up my task memory system, catch me up and triage stale tasks, remember key context about a project. And the cool thing is, as you can see here, commands. So these are kind of the commands here, basically just activate this type of tasks that I'm looking to do within the productivity plugin. Okay, and then I can also come here and edit. Now I can obviously come back to Claude and I can edit with it. That's really cool as well. So those are commands. We have connectors. Now, the beautiful part about this is, imagine, again, Claude is doing a lot of the work for you. And the reason I like to think of it as kind of an organization. So imagine you hired a CEO, which essentially you are working in the CEO position currently. And imagine you have to map out each department of your company, right? So you'd have to come up obviously with the department, and then within the department you would need, okay, what do these employees need, right? What are the skills needed to complete this work effectively? And what are the connectors, or again, the apps that these employees are going to need to use to make this department as effective as possible? Well, Anthropic has just done that for you. So in all plugins, you can come here and then you can come into connectors, and they have already said, hey, within the productivity department of your organization, these are essentially the apps I want to connect to, or you should connect us to, so that we can provide you with the best context, with the best output possible to complete the job at, 100%. Okay, so you can come in here. Now, if you don't use all this, that's totally fine, but just install, essentially, if you want, install the tools that you use for this department. And this is super, super helpful. So all you have to do is just install, perfect, and then we're going to connect it. And it's just going to pull you essentially to the app. You're going to authorize it through Notion, and then it's connected, and it can pull all the data, all the references from Notion. So just be careful of what you're actually allowing Claude to have access to. But more or less, there's a lot of cool functionality when it comes to connectors. And so if we look at the skills, again, these are the individual tasks essentially within the productivity plugin. As we can see here, we have memory management. And again, there are tons of plugins that Claude gives you access to. Somehow, again, if I have my own frameworks within my own company and I want to kind of bolt something onto this skill, I can just come to the top here, edit it, and I can customize it, and I can say pretty much whatever, and then it's going to basically just bolt that on to the already existing skill. And then we can upload plugins. And kind of the future of all the skills and plugins, you can already see it with some websites, is there's going to be marketplaces where you can either buy skills or plugins to essentially increase your productivity, increase your workflows. So if you want, you can go to a third party and get a specific plugin or a skill and create that. And those are plugins. Again, they're pretty much your departments of your organizations, you being the CEO, Cowork being the assistant, and then obviously the skills are kind of the employees doing the tasks. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Now, one last thing here, and this is probably the most important thing of this all. One thing I have been really looking forward to, and they finally came out with it. So now they have a scheduled feature, which just makes my life a lot more easier. And what this ultimately means is, instead of going to N8N or make.com to essentially automate some of this stuff, I can now do that here. So for an example, I have scheduled 2 tasks every Sunday at 10 and one at 11:39. to essentially create me ads. Okay, and this is super, super cool, and it works. So let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So all you have to do to create a task is just new task. You're going to give it a name, you're going to have a description, and then you're going to have a prompt. Okay, and the cool part is you can actually choose which model to use. I just like using always the best model by default. And then all you have to do really is just create your own file. And then this is the coolest part, you have frequency. right? So are we talking hourly, daily, weekdays, or weekly? So depending on the task you're trying to schedule and kind of automate, you have the flexibility to do it daily, weekly, or whatever. And this is really cool. So if we kind of just look into one of my tasks here, I'm gonna blur some of this out just for client privacy. So you have the description over here, you have the folder, and you have repeating every Sunday at 10. Now the coolest part is, this is for ads. Now the coolest part is the instructions I have given it. Now, if you're wondering again, hey, how do I create these instructions? How do I create a lot of this? The best place I have found to do this is with an already existing chat. Creating ads for a company, I usually just come back to the same thread to do it. I can then ask Claude to create me and help me create a scheduled task in Cowork, and it's going to kind of help walk you through that. As we can see here, these did run, and it was amazing to see these things take place. The coolest part is we do have some features over here when you actually do run this, or it does run. We have progress. Again, it's going to kind of give you this progress checklist. I love that. I love keeping kind of tabs on the model. And you can see it kind of did its thing. Perfect. It went through that. You will have some context of what is taking place, just like Claude Code or Anti-Gravity kind of gives you the planning section, and it gives you kind of those artifacts you can work with. And these are all clickable. And then I can even open up in Anti-Gravity. That's the one I use. And then you have context. If you have a project already, right, and you kind of want to use Cowork within a project, you have to access projects in the chat function. I'm going to come to projects here, and let's just say I want to, let's just use a test project here. What I can do is I can start it in Cowork. Okay, so there's a few ways around that, and I just go create task. And now I'm back in Cowork. So again, now I have the context of that project. I can then give it access to a folder or give it access to something else. And then I can type a command. Again, I can type in a command from one of the plugins, or if you really don't remember those, that's totally fine. I can come press this plus button, and then here I have a bunch of things I can work with, right? I can either upload, I can go to another project. That's another way you can do it. I can give it access to connectors, or I can come to the plugins and specifically kind of do some of this stuff. Instead of doing the full-fledged N8N, this here bypasses a lot of that annoying stuff. And you have the ability now to schedule within Cowork. So this is very cool. And you can imagine the things you could potentially schedule. You can potentially schedule a news digest, right? If you're trying to keep up with this fast changing market in AI, you can have a news digest. You can have a email draft. You can have a newsletter mock-up that again is scheduled every morning for you. Like the opportunities here are endless, and this is again where Claude is trying to, this very agentic feeling that is taking place. This is where Claude is headed. That's kind of the breakdown of the Cowork ecosystem with the skills, connectors, and plugins. Try them out, they're phenomenal, and subscribe to stay up to the latest news and tools and updates and all that good fun stuff. As always, my friends, stay human, and I'll see you next time.